with this design, maybe it's better to show my cat model. With this design, I switched to only one dovetail joint, and then the thumb screw actually just hold in the middle here as opposed to the end. So the force distribution in this model is much more even, and with a very loose fitting dovetail joint, as you can see here, that there's a lot of room for error on this one. But because the whole dovetail joint is held down by the thumb screw, I didn't need it to be a tight fit dovetail joint at all. So now with that in mind, I actually, of course, as usual, I did more testing. Now I think this is with some corn and beef and Brussels sprouts. Ignore the burrito for now, but so in this video, I'm demonstrating how I'm like putting the utensil on there. I'm gonna fast forward a little bit. So basically, you just loosen the thumb screw and you can just put the utensil in there like that. And notice how much the extra like tolerance I give to the dovetail joint actually helped in this case, helped in the fitting the unique shape of the utensil. So I just clamp it down like this. I'm gonna fast forward a little bit. Now here's the actual eating part. Now it is surprisingly stable, and even with a fork, and I can pretty much, as you can see, I can get the Brussels sprout, like stab the Brussels sprout with no problem. I undercooked this. This is a lot more firm than it would be, but still, there was absolutely no problem with this one. Oh, and one thing I forgot to mention is that with this model, I adjusted the slot for the buckle strap. I move it up a little bit so it gets more room for at least my hand to work with. Now, this next part is something I accidentally discovered with this. This is the brownie. Yes, brownie with peanut butter on it. I do cook for myself, so this may look very weird. But as you can see here, I can actually use the fork as of a cutting device for soft foods. So I can just cut down the brownie with a fork and pushing it that way. And it's pushing against the device, so it's very stable, and I can just use the fork to pick the food up. So yeah, I think this model actually works, at least on my hand. With all the different food I've tested, it works pretty well, and I'm able to like pretty much eat the whole meal without a problem. So some key lessons I've learned so far testing this is that simplicity is not always better. With my first design, there is only 2 moving parts. It's very simple. I thought if it's simple enough, then it's going to be intuitive, and it's going to be very easy to fix and produce as well. However, with simplicity, I was trying to accomplish too much with too little. Just proved to be a little bit too ambitious. And the second thing I learned is I really have to get my hands on this physical device to test. Otherwise, I would just be living in the 3D modeling wonderland. I have background in Blender, which is a more, I say, artistic rendering of 3D modeling. And in that world, there's no limitation. Anything works. Even there's no consideration of material or anything. You can bend the mesh however you want. But in reality doesn't work that way. Just like in the real world, there's air, there's friction. We don't live in the vacuum. And in the real world, material exists, and there are always errors of the machines. And that brings me to my next point. So I always need to leave plenty of room for errors. Now, with this model, I was trying to not give it a lot of, I was trying to do a tight fit, which just never worked out. When I give it a lot more error like this, it actually works. So I can never anticipate how machine is going to behave. I just have to try to build that into my design. And the last thing I learned is that material must just matter as much as the design itself, because so far, a lot of problems with the previous model, it can be resolved by having some kind of really durable or